Dominic Wendell, realtor over in Arizona, and I am with my good friend Carissa. Carissa, introduce yourself. Who are you? Where do you live? What do you do?
Yeah. Hey guys. So thanks, Dom, for having me on. My name is Carissa Trepanier. I am in Dallas, Texas currently, but I'm actually from Wisconsin. I was born in Green Bay, but was living in Madison. So if you're familiar with Wisconsin at all, I've pretty much been everywhere. Yeah, I'm in real estate. I absolutely love it. I was a teacher before I was in real estate. So I knew I wanted to help people, but I just switched on how I was doing that. So I'm loving real estate here, and the market is definitely shifting. So learning every day.
Awesome. No, yeah, that's awesome. And so I guess something that I wanted to do was just bring on somebody else that's not in this Arizona market as well to just kind of
Yeah.
show that the market's changing everywhere. It's not just like in one specific location. And I think that's something that I want to be able to give out to my clients and even possibly people who are looking to move to Arizona or people who are looking to move to, Texas. I think it's a great way to just be able to collaborate with each other and get more knowledge. I think it helps everybody in the grand scheme of things, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this. But so, Carissa, what got you into real estate?
Yeah.
The big
Really, I
one.
just knew I wanted to get into real estate. I was teaching full time in Wisconsin, and then I was working in higher education. So I just wasn't sure when I graduated college back in 2017. I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I got a communication major and just thought, okay, I'll go into teaching. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to work with this young of kids, so I'll go into higher education. Then I was like, really hard to advance in higher education. And I don't know if I want to be in Wisconsin my whole life, and finding jobs in higher ed where you don't have to like restart at the bottom. And they're always trying to hire externally. It's just, it was something I didn't see myself in long term. So I took classes for real estate as I was working full time back in Wisconsin. So I was taking classes just on the side, but virtually. And I absolutely loved what I was learning. But as anyone who's in real estate knows, you don't actually learn like the practical steps and how to be a real estate agent. So it wasn't until you actually like got your feet wet that you knew really what was the day-to-day schedule of a real estate agent. So you don't really know until you go into it, but I did a lot of research, and I liked doing the classes, and I was already researching markets, and I knew I wanted to go into a new place. So I knew I wanted to move to Texas from Wisconsin. So I thought, okay, I'm going to start over at a new career. And real estate is just something I wanted to check out, see if I liked it. And I absolutely love it. It's nothing exactly like I thought it would be. You hear all the time, at least I did, that like, oh, real estate, you set your own schedule and you have a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like I was, I bought the class, and it's really easy in general. It's like, I think my class was like $400 to get into real estate. So you're like, oh, this will be a side hustle, is what some
Yeah.
people say. And I remember just thinking like, oh, I just looked up a Google statistic easily on Google, and it was like 87% of agents don't renew after 2 years or fail in their first 2 years. And I'm like, okay, well, this might not be as easy as what people think, right? Just like a side hustle, or, you're getting clients left and right. And so I really dedicated myself. I said, I'm only going to be working my full-time job, which I had from Wisconsin, but also had when I moved to Texas. So I was just working that online. And I said, okay, I'm only going to do that for 3 months, and then I'm going to go full-time into real estate. And that's what I did. And I don't regret it, but it is different than what my expectations were coming into it. A lot of people fail in the industry. A lot of people don't have enough savings when they first come into real estate to really give themselves enough time and space to succeed, and to build up that clientele. So I love real estate, but I don't think it's for everyone. And I think you need to make sure you know what you're doing when getting into real estate, or any career for that matter.
Yeah, and I think that's honestly one of the biggest things is setting yourself up with realistic expectations when getting into the industry because
Yeah.
it looks, like people will watch like $1 Million Listing or Selling Sunset, and it gives it this glamorous lifestyle and workflow where it's like, oh, I sell a house and then I'm all good and then I can go mess around or whatever. And it's honestly just a huge grind more than anything, especially
Yeah.
being new. I think that's a big one. Not really knowing like which direction is up. Like when you first get into real estate, it's like drinking water out of a fire hydrant. It's just so much to consume. And like you said from the beginning, the school doesn't really teach you that much about the job itself. It teaches you about the rules and regulations, which, that's good. It's good to know, but it doesn't teach you about the job itself of how to go and get clients, how to, write up an offer, anything of that sort. And I think that's the thing that you kind of need to start prefacing yourself is, how can I gain all of these skills? How can I start to, write up offers? How can I start to get in front of people that are wanting to buy or sell houses? I think that's a big thing that a lot of people need to, I guess, take into consideration, is surrounding yourself with just good people, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That has been a huge thing that's helped my business, is just putting myself in rooms with people who are where I want to be. I think CRG is a great place to start, in my opinion. When I first started, I had no idea what I was doing, and my mentor Josh, he was just basically saying, like, dude, you just got to go out there and fall on your face a couple of times. Like that's the best way to learn. And I honestly, I'm right there with him. Like I think that is probably one of the best ways to learn, just because you're going through, like, not everything is going to be the same exact scenario, the same exact situation. Everything's going to be a little bit different, but I think that's what also makes real estate fun, is it's just not this mundane same cycle. It's technically the same cycle, but everything has its own little spice to it, and that's what I like about it.
And I almost feel like you're kind of putting out fires. Like our job is to keep our clients calm and to keep communication high with lenders and inspectors and, foundation, any repairs that need to be needed. So, we are talking with so many different types of people and making sure that things are getting done in a timely fashion. And, our clients want us at different times of the day. And so it's not always as easy as what people think on the outside from, reality TV, for example.
No, exactly. So I guess, what did you do? So like with your expectation of when you first got into the business, and then from like the reality of how things actually are, what did you do to be able to overcome like the expectation to the actual reality, to be able to be, successful as a newer agent?
Yeah, well, lucky for me, I researched before I was actually an agent what those expectations, what expectations you think you have going into real estate and then what it's actually like. So I interviewed top producers in Dallas before I was an agent, and just looked up listings that were listings, way above a price point that I would think about ever being a real estate agent for. And I just called them up. Some of them didn't answer. I would text some of them, never hear from them again. And then one gentleman, his name is Alex, I won't say his last name, but he's one of the top producers in Dallas. And before I even got there, I sent him a text, and then I shot him a call, and I got a 20-minute interview with him. And essentially, I was just asking him questions about how he became successful and what his daily routine looked like, what made him successful, any advice points he has for me, where he spends his time when he's not in real estate, how he meets a lot of his clients, just simple things like that. And you really begin to learn, before I was even in real estate, is that it depends what groups you're hanging out with. So you mentioned, you want to be in a room full of people who are, better than you essentially, and always propelling you along forward. In Alex's perspective, or a top producer's perspective, they're always thinking about, okay, my clients are hanging out at places, like facilities that do tennis, where my kid's school is, and all of the extracurricular activities that go along there. Maybe the country club that's local to me. Maybe I have a membership somewhere. And they're constantly thinking about the charity events or volunteering at that local, biggest, whatever it is, whatever event happens in your town. So that got me thinking, because as I mentioned, I wasn't from Texas, so I had to relearn where everyone hangs out here, and where to find people. So I think those were some of the expectations that I luckily, I was in the right headspace when I joined real estate because of interviewing those people. But I also did a lot of work on just YouTube I mean, literally free content that's out there. YouTubers were telling me, okay, here's a statistic of how many people fail, 87% in 2 years. Okay, shoot, it's probably not going to be that easy. I switched my mindset. Another thing is, okay, you might not sell a home for 3 to 6 months. And that's, the safe side. It might even take longer than that. So 3 to 6 months, you should have up your salary so that you're not, having to go back to your full-time job if you don't want to. So I had a whole year of salary saved up. So it was, I guess preventative and making sure that I was going to have the best year that I possibly could for my first year in real estate.
Oh, exactly. So I guess what did you do? So like with your expectation of when you first got into the business and then from like the reality of how things actually are, what did you do to be able to overcome like the expectation to the actual reality to be able to be, successful as a newer agent?
Yeah, and I almost feel like you're kind of putting out fires. Like our job is to keep our clients calm and to keep communication high with lenders and inspectors and foundation, any repairs that need to be needed. So we are talking with so many different types of people and making sure that things are getting done in a timely fashion. And our clients want us at different times of the day, and so it's not always as easy as what people think on the outside from reality TV, for example.
No, exactly. So I guess what did you do? So like with your expectation of when you first got into the business and then from like the reality of how things actually are, what did you do to be able to overcome like the expectation to the actual reality to be able to be, successful as a newer agent?
Yeah, well, lucky for me, I researched before I was actually an agent what those expectations, what expectations you think you have going into real estate and then what it's actually like. So I interviewed top producers in Dallas before I was an agent, and just looked up listings that were listings, way above a price point that I would think about ever being a real estate agent for. And I just called them up. Some of them didn't answer. I would text some of them, never hear from them again. And then one gentleman, his name is Alex. I won't say his last name, but he's one of the top producers in Dallas. And before I even got there, I sent him a text and then I shot him a call and I got a 20-minute interview with him. And essentially, I was just asking him questions about how he became successful and what his daily routine looked like, what made him successful, any advice points he has for me, where he spends his time when he's not in real estate, how he meets a lot of his clients, just simple things like that. And you really begin to learn before I was even in real estate is that it depends what groups you're hanging out with. So you mentioned, you want to be in a room full of people who are, better than you essentially, and always propelling you along forward. In Alex's perspective or a top producer's perspective, they're always thinking about, okay, my clients are hanging out at places, like facilities that do tennis, where my kid's school is, and all of the extracurricular activities that go along there. Maybe the country club that's local to me. Maybe I have a membership somewhere. And they're constantly thinking about the charity events or volunteering at that local, biggest, whatever it is, whatever event happens in your town. So that got me thinking because, as I mentioned, I wasn't from Texas. So I had to relearn where everyone hangs out here, and where to find people. So I think those were some of the expectations that I luckily, I was in the right headspace when I joined real estate because of interviewing those people. But I also did a lot of work on just YouTube. I mean, literally free content that's out there. YouTubers were telling me, okay, here's a statistic of how many people fail, 87% in 2 years. Okay, shoot, it's probably not going to be that easy. I switched my mindset. Another thing is, okay, you might not sell a home for 3 to 6 months. And that's, the safe side. It might even take longer than that. So 3 to 6 months, you should have up your salary so that you're not, having to go back to your full-time job if you don't want to. So I had a whole year of salary saved up. So it was, I guess, preventative and making sure that I was going to have the best year that I possibly could for my first year in real estate.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I think even just planning ahead too with how things are going to go and compensating, you can't always think about the best case scenario, especially in this industry, is like not every deal is going to go through, not every client's going to buy, not every client's going to sell. And I think having that realistic expectation of like, look, not everything's going to always go my way, but as long as I can, prepare for the worst and hope for the best, that I think that's one of my biggest things that's kind of helped me with the industry because I honestly just had a big lull. I went 4 months without closing a deal or anything, and that makes a big impact on money coming in and everything when you just see negative dollar signs always going out and whatnot. But I think that actually kind of rolls back into like my next question was like, what was the biggest contributing factor to your business? Like mastermind groups, YouTubing, coaching, anything of that sort. Like, I guess where did you get a lot of your knowledge from of just going out there getting business?
Yeah, so you touched us on this in the beginning. You said CRG. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's Collaborative Realty Group. So sometimes in real estate, you're an individual agent. Otherwise, you can be with a team. And with a team, you're representing their name. You typically get leads. Um, but with a team, you obviously have a percentage of your commission that goes back to that team for finding those leads. CRG is not a team, it's a group, meaning we're there to support each other, agents around the world, different markets, but you're not taking each other's, commission in any way, shape, or form. So we meet up probably at least 3 times. You can do meetings, if not more, per week. So that has been truly my support from day one when I chose EXP for my brokerage. Also, it was, free things like YouTube. There's so many different resources out there about how to build your business, how to set up a database for hosting anything, clients, doing more social media online, whatever I want to learn about can be available to me for free. I also go to the Shareholder Summit, which was in Orlando. That's through our brokerage of EXP. You're masterminding with icon agents, people who have done a certain amount of transactions per year all over the world. You're learning more about EXP and the business of real estate and the shifting markets and going to so many different, large group gatherings and small group gatherings to learn more information. So I'm constantly trying to learn from people. And then within our group, as you know, Dom, we can reach most of those people through a phone call if we need it. And we also have local mentors. So there's always somebody there to help us succeed and to answer any questions that we might have.
100%. And I think so. It's kind of something I've been going through with my coaching program, and it's leaning in on the people who are there to help you. I think a big thing with real estate is at least what I'm trying to embody in my business and just how I'm trying to approach everything is give, 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 give,
Yeah.
and expect nothing in return. Because it's a weird concept, but when you don't have expectation, you can't be let down. And I love that because people follow how you make them feel. It's not necessarily the product that you're giving them or, anything of that sort. I think the one thing I get asked more than anything is like, what do I talk about when I go and show like my first client or whatever? And it's literally just being friends with people. I think that is one of the biggest things with this industry that I love about it so much is because I'm a big talker. Like
Yeah.
I love to just learn about people. I think one of the coolest things is just being able to build new relationships constantly. And that's what we get to do as a job. And I think truthfully just making people feel comfortable and making people feel like that you care about them. That is I if you genuinely feel that way about other people, the business is going to just come naturally. I think that's the big thing. And just also making sure that, finding any way that you can help them out. I think one of the biggest things that I always lead with before I end a phone call is what in the world can I do for you? Like, is there any way I can help you out? And just always be a helping hand, whether it's, going and pulling a couple weeds for them or something, or like going and checking on the house if they're snowbirds and they're out of state for the summer or something. Like just always taking that extra step, that extra mile for other people, and they're going to remember that. And that's how you generate referrals. That's how you just generate business in general. I think that's at least kind of something I've been trying to more take into my business, but. I guess let's roll into how are you generating leads? Do you have like programs? Are you utilizing your CRM, social media, video, cold calling? Like what are you doing?
Yeah, I guess kind of all of the above. It really depends on the season for me.
Yeah.
So I was in a meeting, what, few months ago, where it was a goal of mine that I made after the meeting to post on social media 3 to 4 times a day, which was a lot for me, but also was backed up by statistics of, people coming back to your page and consistently seeing content from you. And I was also building, my social media, which I didn't really have a footprint on before. So it takes a little bit more in the beginning. So I didn't have an Instagram. I did not have a TikTok before I started real estate. And then I was like, okay, I should probably have some more platforms. So I have been consistently trying to grow those things by posting more often. So that's sort of my go-to for social media. In your case, that can look anywhere from posting a few TikToks that are unrelated to real estate to actually posting like tours of homes on my Instagram. So it just depends on the day and what I'm doing. And then in terms of things that aren't social media driven, I started DFW Ladies Night, which stands for Dallas Fort Worth, which is local to my area. And essentially, what I wanted to happen was what I didn't see already existing around me. So I kind of had to create it. But I wanted to partner with local businesses who were women owned. And in that, I wanted to make sure that we were supporting each other. So not only just me talking to like first time home buyers in a seminar, I wanted this to be something where we're supporting each other and that I could meet women organically and continue a relationship with them. And then hopefully they would use me in the future when they're ready to buy or sell or their family's moving to Texas or away from Texas. So we just got done actually this past week with our second DFW Ladies Night. And both times there's been consistently about 50 women there. And I get their contact information and their social media. And so I typically just follow them on social media and I follow up with them about a week or two later via a phone call. And I just ask them how things are going, how I can support them. And then we support each other throughout the year. And so that is sort of more long term. Not everybody's ready to buy or sell within, a month, 3 months or so. And you know how those kind of prospecting things are. Yeah. So, but it feels really good to finally like meet women in this area when you're not from this area. So that's been another way of sort of prospecting and just meeting people in general for me. And I had to start that. So it was a lot of work, but now it's a lot easier to continue those. And then in terms of other things, I mean, it's just following up. I have a database just like you do. We get provided with KV Core in EXP. So I'm following up with clients all the time via automated communications. I've had a lot of previous sellers. So I'm always following up with them, asking if they know anyone in their life who's ready to potentially buy or sell and things like that.
No, I love that. And I think something that you did was like creating a group, finding your niche or niche or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the most vital things for people because, a lot of people will go to like cold calling because that's what they've always heard. Oh, if you want to be successful, you got to cold call or all of that stuff. I think aligning with what your personality is the best way to generate business because then it's not a job. Like a lot of people, I've just figured out that cold calling, like that's something I like to do because it gets me in front of people at a higher number, but it also is able to, I find it fun. It's kind of like a game for me. Like, ooh, who do I get to talk to next?
Yeah.
And it can go up or down. You never know who's going to be on the other side of the phone. But that's also the other thing I like about it is you never know what opportunity is going to be on the other side of that phone. I love that, just from the past couple of months of me cold calling, I've generated probably 3 to 4 listings already just from that. And then also referrals on top of that from just people who know other people. I think that's a big thing, and just giving a genuine care once again for other people, and just like, look, I'm not even trying to sell your house. I don't even know if I want to sell your house. I just want to see if there was. I just wanted to find out what the story was why your house didn't sell, and figure out how I could help you. Like that's about honestly it. I think that's my big leverage point is coming from a non-salesy person. You never want to have commission breath walking into any appointment or just making it feel like the other people or that your client is just another transaction or just another number. I think giving them the time and energy that they deserve is what's going to bring back new people, new blood into your CRM, and to just compound interest over time and have a big business. I think that's one of the best things that you can do. But I
Yeah.
love you creating that group. That is an amazing thing. It's kind of like a BNI group in a sense.
Yeah, it's been going really well so far. So the plan is to do it quarterly, so 4 times a year. And I'm just hoping that, after time, I'm able to not only tag a lot of these businesses on social media, but then when I have clients who are moving in from California or New York and they need a hairstylist, I know exactly who to point them to, or they need someone to help them, that's a CPA, or they need a marketer, whatever it is. There's so many different diverse women who now I have connections to.
Be the resource of a resource. No, I love it. So let's roll into the next question. What are some of your goals for or moving forward, like real estate related and life goals, like 5-year plan?
Sure, sure. I like to stay pretty open. In a way, it's a good thing, and in some ways, maybe you should be more, set on what your goals are. I thought I would maybe want to move to, Utah, Colorado. I just love those areas, but I'm finding the deeper my connections are in Dallas, that I'm okay with staying here. I really am starting to love the Dallas area and the relationships that I've made. Um, but in terms of my business, I mean, I want to continue to help people with real estate. And in terms of the women that I've created the relationships with, I want to make sure that our businesses are succeeding together. So I want to continue to do women events 4 times a year, and support them and have them support me in return. I want to make sure that I'm doubling my business. So that would be my goal for not the rest of this year, but for the following year, to double whatever I make by December, and the amount of transactions that I have. I would like to stay in place at least for another year or two in Dallas. So in terms of 5 years, I'm not sure where that'll take me, but the next 2 to 3 years or so, I'd like to stay in Dallas and maintain these relationships.
Having, I used to be a big long-term goal type of person, but now I think the more I've just kind of got around bigger thinkers, they do have long-term goals, but they don't bank on those goals. That's kind of like just an aiming point in a sense,
Yeah.
and then they kind of figure it out along their way. And so, like, about the farthest that I'll plan is about 5 years, because there's so much that can happen in 5 years. There's so much that can happen in, a year, 6 months.
Yeah.
So I never try to, define myself by that one goal. Because your goals are always going to change. And that's what I love about it so much is, you know, things can happen so quick, but they can also go bad so fast as well. So, like, there's never really a good way to, I guess, plan out your years or whatever. But I think some of the big things for me, just moving forward is, like you said, doubling my business. Last year I did about 14, 15 transactions, and then honestly this year it's looking like I could probably double it. Um,
Nice.
and I think moving forward, I want to start getting into helping, more people get my message more out there, become more present on social media and everything. Eventually, what I want to do is be able to help other agents scale their business. I think that's a big attracting feeling for me because I like to teach, and I learned from Jeff. You become a better student by teaching, and you just because you get a better understanding of how things work, why it works, and I think just being able to do that and helping other people scale their business, it's going to help you do the same. It's going to help you, I guess, fine tune your machine to where it's doing exactly what you want to do, which is what we all want to do.
Yeah,
But
no, that's a good thing. I forgot about that whole portion of being able to teach other agents. So
oh yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
yeah, and like with you being able to support other business owners, that's just a perfect example of how you. It's basically showing what you can do for other people. I mean, if
Yeah.
you've already built a group of 50 empowered women who are small business owners, I think that is a great way to be able to reach out to other people. Is like, look, like this is how I've started building my business, and this is an opportunity for you to be able to join at no cost and just be able to network. I think the biggest thing is your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
I love that saying, just because you have to get out there, and that's what I love about real estate so much is it makes you get out there. It makes you kind of get out of your comfort zone, but it's also so nice because it's like, holy cow, I just did that, you know? Like it kind of gets you excited about stuff. But well, I loved this conversation. Thank you so much for coming on. Carissa, how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. It's my first name dot last name underscore real estate. So it's really long, but I'm sure I'll be tagged in wherever you see this post.
Yes.
So feel free to reach out on Facebook, Instagram. You can find me on TikTok as well. My first and last name, Carissa Trepanier, CarissatrePanier. Or my phone number is 920-393-9231, and you can text me as well.
Thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found something valuable out of this. Dominic Wendell over here in Arizona. If you ever need anything, I'd love to help you out. Have a good one, guys.